what time frame do you want me to? How far back do you want me to go?
Yeah, I guess let's start with just like, a couple years. Let's go from like 2015, 2014 on. What were you doing? What were you doing in Denver? And, what were you doing professionally before? I believe, as I read, in 2017, you went to that startup conference, and it really kind of got the ball rolling in what you wanted to do.
Sure. About 2 years ago this April, I moved to Denver,
Okay.
and I moved out here to work with a partner who I had started a cooperative design and web development shop with.
Mhm.
And because I moved out here, and that because of that connection, I was invited to speak at Denver Startup Week in 2017, and we did a program called Better Together: How Freelancers Can Win, and it was just like a huge success, more than I could have possibly anticipated.
Uh-huh.
About 125 people showed up. We did all kinds of games, moved them around the space, and did a lot of like design thinking to get a sense of what the freelance community wanted. I was coming out of the cooperative movement, and in the years before, I had spent time interning on income sharing communes, working for alternative education organizations. I was in activism in the activist circles in New York City. So I came out of this long tradition of alternative ways of organizing groups, and like sitting in circles and talking about and coming to consensus on what people wanted to do, and also different ways of sharing ownership. So in the communes, in the income sharing communes, people own things in common in very interesting ways. And then of course there's the cooperative movement, which is all about business structures where members have ownership. So that's sort of the background that I'm coming from, is alternative economic systems that distribute decision-making power and economic ownership in different ways, in more equitable ways, in my opinion.
Great. And when you did that first roundtable, or the first group you put together, you mentioned that you're looking for how this could work in Denver, or what Denver people needed. What did you find out?
Well, the three main things that I found out from talking to freelancers, doing these events with freelancers, asking freelancers, and doing a lot of design thinking, what seems clear to me is the three things are community, gigs, and healthcare. And so, it's lonely being a freelancer. It can be very isolating. People want to be working with other people. People are doing a lot of work and not being able to get the kind of feedback that they would. Like I certainly build things, and I have no idea. It's like, is this even good? Have I delivered my client something that is of any value? I've oftentimes no one to reference. And then there's the gigs, which boils down to money, support. People need to be doing something that they want to do and being compensated for it. So finding those connections with all the people out there that need work is something that people are looking for. And then finally, there's healthcare. And just this morning, I got a report from my insurance, and I had been mischarged for some radiology that I had, and had to call them, and spend all this time getting that reversed, and then find out that my urgent care visit, had this secret tacked on expense from a doctor. So like, our healthcare system is just a mess, and especially when you're doing it on your own.
Yeah.
So those are the three things that I see as being the sort of central focus.
And I would assume that you saw Better Together as a way of providing solutions to those problems.
I see Better Together as a platform for a community to find solutions to those problems. So I don't think that I'm coming with any solution other than, hey, let's work together in a way where we are coming up with the solutions. So I'm just bringing people together and trying to get them to generate the solutions, and like sort of the technology that I'm bringing, the like disruptive thing that I'm bringing is that I don't have the answers, that the community has the answers.
I see. Okay. And when you're conceiving this, I'm curious to know, what were you scared about? What did you fear about, putting Better Together out in the world? And reciprocally, what did you feel confident in? What did you feel like, I got this? I don't know if I have this, but we'll find out.
Wow, that is such a good question. So the thing that I was most afraid of is the success, that it would be successful. What if people like it? What if people like, that's like the deep underlying fear that keeps me from, maybe doing as much as I can, is maybe people don't like this. Maybe this isn't necessary. Maybe someone else is doing it. Am I the right person to be doing something like this? Who am I to think that I could possibly put something like this together? I don't have the skills, like that. There's that fear.
Mm-hmm.
And I am and a little more concretely, I am worried that other people are doing this, and I'm doing parallel efforts. I have a programming background, so I have a real peeve around inefficiencies. And so if like two people are doing the same work, I'd much rather be working together.
Right.
And then the thing that I'm confident in is my ability to excite and enlist people in something. Like that's something that, like talking to you or talking to people about what is possible, what possibility we could create, just comes second nature to me. And I've found a lot of success in having a community that is like into a shared idea, and sort of exciting that idea. So yeah, that's a place where I feel like I never have the self-deprecating self-doubt.
Right.
So that's what the confidence looks like, I suppose.
That's great. And you mentioned, you found these, was it community, healthcare, and gigs that you found, for Denver. Do you think that is unique to Denver? Like, do you think that's something that is unique to freelancers in Denver, or do you think that's more? Do you think that you could apply that to any type of community or any type of city that has a lot of these types of people in it?
Well, I think if you break things, if you break those down, they are universal. You want to be healthy, you want to be safe, you want to be secure, you want to make sure, like, money is just the energy to keep a roof over your head and keep your family safe and have what you need. And then community is like, we are communal creatures. We are hardwired to want to be in authentic relationships with each other. And I think if I would only add that people also want purpose. They want to be doing something that feels like it's moving the needle, that's changing things for the better, especially, or at least is like not contributing to the detriment of the world or of themselves. So, I see a lot of that in people that leave corporate America it hurts their souls,
Yeah.
and they're ready to get out there. So I think that those are pretty universal. The desire for community, the desire for security, and the desire for being healthy and able to enjoy those
Okay.
things.
Absolutely. And what were there any problems or hurdles that Denver presented to you that you hadn't expected in trying to get this off the ground?
Well, I didn't have an intention to do this. I didn't have a plan. I did this one event in 2017 thinking this will be fun. I like facilitating things, and it'll be a great way to meet people. And I've just been following the energy of that since. So yeah. So it's just been a process of like, oh, there's something here. People want something. Well, I'll start hosting events and just see what emerges from them. And this has just been a process of seeing what is emerging. And the thing about Denver is that people are just really down. They're just really into doing stuff. They're really into being involved. They are enthusiastic. And yeah, so I've been more surprised how well it's been going, and how easeful a lot of the things are, and how supportive everybody is.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great. Now,
Mm-hmm.
could you walk me through what one of your meetups are like? What are you guys doing? Is it just, do you guys usually have a focus for each group, or is it just, these people show up and we're just going to see what naturally transpires out of the conversation?
Sure. I try to keep our events on a topic, and have them as interactive as possible. So and I try to platform other people as much as possible.
Okay.
So I'll tell you about 3 events. One is we had an elevator pitch event where it was just work on your elevator pitch. That thing that you say to get people, in 30 seconds, you explain yourself to someone, like at a networking event or in an elevator.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that we did that is brought everyone in, fed them really well, then sat in a big circle and started talking about the feeling of that, like where everyone was with that.
Mm-hmm.
Then out of the group selected a handful of people to be a panel. So we just picked a panel out of the crowd, and then asked the panel questions and answered. And really was like the panel was just facilitating sort of a conversation. And then we broke into teams, and each team sent one of their member to the middle, and we all listened to them give their elevator speech.
Okay.
And then they went back to their team and got feedback, and then went again and gave a refined elevator speech, and then went back again for feedback, and then we rotated. And at the end of all of that, I came out from being like, oh, I build websites and also do some tech stuff, but want to also facilitate, to my name is Drew Hornbein, and I help teams have shorter, more productive meetings. So that's the quality of the like in-person event. Then we have online events where someone like Tara Jo Vigil, who's an accountant within this community of freelancers in Denver, will host she talked about the difference between CPAs, accountants, and bookkeepers, and how you would work with each of those, and then took questions on an online call such as this one.
Okay.
And then the final example, so we had Robin Whitelaw do a class on how to sell yourself without being salesy. Mm-hmm. And that was more of a traditional, like he had information and he was sharing it with with folks, and then we did some, and then I supported him in doing interactive, a little more interactive, and he did a really excellent education thing, and that was an in-person. So those are the three we do. We do big groups trying to be very experimental in the formatting. We do online things, and then we also do like stand-up, your standard events, panel discussions, workshops, lecture type of events. Yeah,
that's great. I didn't realize when I was looking through your stuff, it seemed, well, my impression was that was just in-person groups. So that's really cool that you found different ways to reach your audience.
Right, and that's I'm excited, and I actually learned this from talking to Emily Lech, who founded the Texas Freelancers Association. They would always ask this question: what is Barbara out in this small town, like how is she going to benefit from this decision that we're making? And I, like, right now I'm focusing in Denver because I only have so much bandwidth, but I'm trying to build the foundation of something that someone in a small town, or who's even just someone out in Boulder who doesn't want to drive down to Denver, can receive value from being part of this community.
Cool. Now, what would you say is the makeup of the professionals that are coming to your events? And where I'm trying to get with this is that I work freelance, but I work freelance in journalism, music journalism, and music events, like going to music festivals, being on the crew there, just getting stuff done. And
That's
so
awesome.
who's showing up to your events? What type of professionals are there?
I would say that it is mostly people who who sit down and think to themselves, I should go on meetup.com and find a networking event, who've been told you got to go to networking events, and those people tend to be in the marketing sector. So designers, web developers, social media, coaches. We have quite a few of those people, and we've had some like interesting outliers show up at our events. But I would say it's mostly in the marketing, broadly speaking, marketing sector.
And do you feel comfortable in that realm? Does that suit your overall vision, or is there other types of people you'd like to attract in the future, or does this feel good right now? Good and manageable.
This feels like a good starting point, because what I'm building out membership for Better Together, and my ask is some money. It's essentially, it boils down to about 4 hours of work every month. So like one morning, one afternoon of putting something into this organization, and maybe one of those hours is an hour of your time, or maybe 3 of those hours is an hour of your time, and one of those hours is like an hour you work to earn an hour's worth of wages and put that money in. So there's money and time, and that's just to get like skin in the game. But the money is about getting skin in the game. The time is about creating a commitment to work on building this thing together. And so having a bunch of marketers, like what does an association of freelancers need as it's growing? What's its first step? Well, it needs to establish itself, build its website, and then market itself to freelancers. And then I imagine that you, being a writer, you're not wanting to work on your website. You might want to focus on doing your vocation.
Right.
So if we have a whole community of marketers, you're going to be able to find someone in that community that can help you with the website, and maybe you can trade, or that's ultimately what I'm trying to do, is just create more edge, more people bumping into each other, knowing each other, going to events together, and building trust with each other so that they can collaborate. So to answer your question, it's starting with marketers, and that is where I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable talking that language. I'm in that world. And so I'm starting there, but definitely want to see a much more diverse community of vocation and people, and in every way. The more diversity there is in an ecosystem, the more just interesting it is.
Right. Absolutely. Now, would you be able to share either, a quote unquote success story of that either you yourself have felt, because of your own involvement, where have you maybe bumped into someone that really proved beneficial, or people in the community and people you work with, where have they found success from being associated and bumping up to people at Better Together?
Well, the person that comes to mind is Tara Jo Vigil, who is doing events. She's hosting some events in next month, and is doing an online event through Better Together. So she's just on my mind.
Yeah.
But she went to Freelance Business Week last year, which is an event that the Better Together community put on. So I found, I made connections with these 5 lovely women from our community, and the 6 of us put on this event. And that was a huge success for me, because I got to meet all of these people and work with these just amazing, and I have a blog post all about just what we did and how we did it, and the team was incredible. So I got to learn a whole lot just doing this thing for Better Together.
Mm-hmm.
And then in that Freelance Business Week, Tara Jo came, and she had her heart set on, she's like, on February 14th of 2020, I'm leaving my job. I'm setting off on my own. I can do it. Like, I'm going to be a freelancer. And she went to the Freelance Business Week and was so inspired that, like 2 months later, she left her job. And now
I can see that's tomorrow.
yeah, exactly. She was supposed to do it tomorrow. And now, today, she is going to host an event for Better Together about taxes on March 3rd. And then later on this month, the 4th Wednesday of this month, I think it's the 25th, she's going to be doing a online roundtable about accounting.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So
and oh yeah, and she can't take any more clients on. She's full up, like, yeah.
That's great.
So there's definitely been some serious success stories, and it's just like, and it's also hard for me to know, like, there's so many people who just like bump into each other, meet each other, like get their LinkedIns together, and then who knows what happens.
Yeah, everything can't come back to you. It just goes out into the ether.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you think about Better Together and you think about innovation, how do those meet in the world of Better Together? Innovation in your world.
I am very interested in innovation in cultural technology, which is ways of being that help human beings collaborate. So I think that the challenges that we face as a world, as a country, as a state, as a city, as a neighborhood, any challenges that we face require an enormous amount of collaboration. And the way that we collaborate really matters. Corporations right now have tens of thousands of people collaborating in very effective ways. We're launching rockets into space. We're building these incredible smartphones. We're doing some really amazing things. And yet so many people are hurt and have a bad time in that world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is because of the, like, I believe that it's the patterns in which they organize humans, people together. And a big part of it is taking away your autonomy. Take it like, here's when you have to show up, here's how you have to dress, here's what you have to do, here's who you have to work with, here's what you're going to do today. No, you can't be sick, here's your schedule.
Right.
That's the thing that I think drives a lot of people to become freelancers, like the freedom of that. And I believe that there's that. So like the big innovation is that we can actually have that freedom to choose who you want to work with, choose what kind of work you want to do, choose your hours of operation, but also come together and build the power that comes with collective organizing. The same way that unions came together to build power, I think that independent workers of all kinds can come together and build power, and that's like group buying power, group spending power, the power of coming together and working on big projects, and so that's the space that I'm really interested in innovating in, is like, how do we hold both those things as true?
Right. And do you? This is the last planned question I had, which was, in the next 6 months, what would you hope to see out of Better Together, and or what are you excited about accomplishing in the next 6 months?
I am excited for Better Together to create enough abundance where people like me who are working on it are being paid to work on it. Right now it's sort of a labor of love and an investment of my time into this. Mm-hmm. And in 6 months, I foresee there being enough members who are putting their time and money in, and also resource partners. Like, we have name.com, that's a local company here that sells domain names and hosting. They've been super supportive of us. And a group of freelancers our attention is a very valuable thing. So I see people who want to tap into that attention and support freelancers. Finding those win-win-win collaborations with interests that have funds, that have money, that can afford to pay for Better Together's attention, can give us enough abundance that we can be like paying each other and paying to work on this thing. So that's what I really want to see in the next 6 months, is myself getting paid for the work that I'm putting into it, and also the extra abundance available so that I can be paying graphic designers and copy editors and writers and reporters. Like, I would love to be paying people to write blog posts about other members. Like, it'd be so cool to have you interviewing all the people that are in the community and learning about who they are and what they're passionate about, and publishing that so that we build more trust. And so that's what that's where I'm really excited, is like the energy, starting the dyno, starting the engine running, like seeing the thing like leave my control, and like my little vision growing into whatever it wants to become.